Hey everybody, this is NickStar and this is NickStar Tips. Today I'm going to do a video about refinement of methods. And for anybody that's been watching my videos, you will see refinement happen. You know, when I started with the first one, basically I was sitting down, you know, and I was going over some important material, but it wasn't drawn together that well, only because NickStar is a different kind of channel that I do more kind of, I guess, on the fly, you know. I'm not saying that I don't organize it, because I made, you know, lists and put together some material, but it's far less organized than Spiritual Meat and the Bible studies I will be doing. But as far as this, yeah, I want you to know that, yeah, you'll see some refinement, and my methods improve and stuff like that. And the more I learn about, you know, editing on YouTube and getting my channel going and all that stuff, the more you'll see my videos improve and stuff like that. But sorry. So I'm going to talk about refinement of methods. One thing I have talked about before a little bit is that basically trial by error. Basically just doing something, you know, and learning from your mistakes. And somewhat, that's what these videos are about. Is basically, I'm making them about all kinds of different subjects. And some are very important and have been on my mind for some years, you know, some that I have done and will do. Just instruction, you know, tips that I've wanted to give that will help other people, that has helped me, and, you know, a lot of common sense type stuff that, you know, it just seems like, you know, not a lot of people do, and they, you know, it kind of speaks to a type of inefficiency. Well, anyway, okay, I'm going to bring up, say, budgeting, and I'm just getting on the subject of refining your methods. Say when that you're starting to learn how to budget. You know, you start out with your basic bills and stuff like that, you know, and you know, you write them down. You'd be like, okay, you know, rent, electric bill, you know, phone, you know, insurance, groceries, gas, you know, stuff like that. You list, okay, and then, you know, at the end of the month, you know, you got, you know, say you have less money than you thought you did, so maybe the month after that, you're like, you know, what went wrong, you know, and so you start to make a different list, and then, you know, you're starting to include things that you didn't think of before, and then, you know, you're still missing money, and it's because basically you had to pay, you know, like, say for a tag, or for a bill that you didn't know was coming, or you know, did it, you know, took an extra dinner or something like that, or you went on a date, you know, or, you know, and even after that, you know, that third month, you know, you see that you're still missing money, you know, and so you have to refine and refine again. And then comes the thing about anticipating for different variables, because you're not always going to be able to see everything coming, but you can plan ahead and give a little cushion, you know, and that's very important to do with refining your methods, because especially with money, because if you give cushion, then, you know, basically if something happens or whatever, then you can fall back on that cushion. Now, I've had situations to where I didn't have that cushion, and it caused, you know, serious problems, and so I know that from personal experience. I'm sure we all do. But the important thing is to, you know, refine your methods and plan, you know, on paper, you know, ahead of time. Meticulously plan, because the planning needs to come first after you have a general assessment of and knowledge and experience of what you're dealing with, like, you know, your like your financial situation. You know, if you've got a good feel of it, you know, say, you know, you're a teenager, you know, if you have this opportunity and you're learning how to budget your money, you know, you're gaining experience, you know, and you're getting educated. And I would like to think that today in this educational system that they're teaching young adults how to manage their money, but with the things that I've been hearing coming out of the school system, I really don't know what they're teaching, because there's a lot of ludicrous things that they are teaching, you know, like, you know, all kinds of, you know, cross-gender stuff, and asking really young, you know, kids about their sexual orientation and preferences and stuff like this, which is completely inappropriate, and they shouldn't be doing it. And as parents, you know, I'm with the parents on, you know, what's been going on. They should stand up to school boards and stuff like that. And we can go over that stuff later, and that's part of refining methods as well. Is if you see corruption happening, and especially coming from like a school board or a politician or politicians, or even our government, you know, and basically they're breaking the law, or they're breaking the Constitution on which this nation is founded, you need to stand up, you know, you need to say something. And that's part of learning what actually, you know, needs to be said, needs to, you know, be stood up for. You know, in like with what I'm saying, refining your methods, you know, you learn from experience, and you learn from being educated. And you also, part of a refinement is looking ahead to see the consequences that will happen, so you act when it's important to act. Because if you don't, then you will be facing a future that you basically did nothing about. Now, I'm not saying that you can help every future that comes, obviously, you know, in the bad sense, as far as, you know, when, you know, a bad future happens. But, you know, you will regret, you know, doing something about it if you could have made a difference. And that's part of what our voting system is about, too, is that we get out there and vote. And I'm speaking to myself on that, too, that we get out there and we make a difference while we can. And now, as far as other things, you know, like exercise, like I've made many lists, you know, and systems about how to, you know, train the body. You know, I made many systems about how to train the mind. And a lot of it, and all of it's on paper, you know. And so I would say the first thing is, if you're refining your methods, you know, take what you know and put it on paper. And especially these days, put it on paper and not on the internet or on your computer, because, you know, someone can hack it, you know, and take your information. And what if your methods, you know, are lucrative? You know, what if you can turn it into something that you can market, you know, and make a viable business out of it? And me, I have plenty of systems that fit that very description, but the problem with me is I need resources, as far as I need an investor or something like that. Man, I don't know how many different systems I have, but I do know that, you know, in the totality of them, I mean, I probably have at least, I don't know, probably 20 really good money-making systems that I could use and market and stuff like that. Probably more. That's just, I don't know, rough estimate in my head. Just, you know, topically thinking about it. But, and that's part of my refinement too. You know, seeing if I can, I don't know, you know, find an investor. I had been looking for a literary agent, you know, or a publisher, for a book I had wrote, and also some other things that I've written and also will write, and some other projects and things like that. And as far as a Christian, I've went to, you know, some pastors about some Christian material that I have that needs to be out there. And what I'm talking about is I put together a lot of scriptural things in a way that I think that will really speak to people, and that they can integrate and use. And it's kind of a, you know, very dynamic, these things that I've been working on. It's very dynamic, and and I think that people will really enjoy using these things that I've created. So it needs to get out there, as far as on the note of evangelism, you know, and also education and tools that a Christian needs, and to lost people as well. Because I think, because one of the things I'm developing is a Christian game, you know, that is highly scriptural, and hopefully if I, you know, get it finished, you know, y'all can see it and tell me for yourself what you think. So yeah, you know, and same with the game, you know, I started out with a, you know, like as far as refining my methods, you know, I started out with a general idea, you know, so you start with an idea, and then you add to it, you know, and you learn, you like, don't be afraid to mark off what doesn't work. So, you know, X things, you know, scratch them out, you know, rip up paper, you know, crunch it into a ball and throw it away if it just doesn't work. Once you find something that works better, you know, and make little notes everywhere. Use several sheets of paper, you know, use different colors, you know, use numbers and you know, and mnemonic associations and things like that. And sorry, I'm just checking something. Let's see. Okay. Sorry, I'm just checking something. But yeah, don't be afraid to be wrong. That's another thing about, you know, refining your methods. Now, another thing that I'm going to be doing in the future is I'm going to be numbering things and organizing things a lot better than I currently do. Like I've said before, a lot of these videos are very spontaneous, okay? So, so I don't exactly plan them ahead as far as the order in which they will go. So there is a bit of refinement that you will see. But yeah, just hitting on this, don't be afraid to be wrong. Because if you're going to refine your methods, you need to be willing to be wrong so you can be right. And that means that you got to go through some mistakes to learn what works and what doesn't. And the same goes for dating, you know. And I get into that on the other NickStar tip, romance in our current culture. And also the second NickStar tip, or I think it might have been the third, yeah, the third, where I asked people for their advice about dating. You know, and because I could use advice, and that's another thing, asking others help with things, and getting ideas, because I've gotten ideas for learning systems from around the world, and I've developed my own. So I have plenty of my own ideas, and then I use other people's ideas as well, and I mesh them together. I integrate them, you know, because it's the most effective, most efficient. But anyway, as far as refining your methods, there's more to say, and I might do a part 2, but I'll see you next time on NickStar Tips, on any other of the NickStars, and Spiritual Meat will be coming out here soon as far as the first video based on Jesus Christ, and I'll see y'all later. And remember, Jesus Christ saves.